There's a new young band coming out of England called Royal Blood, who are really, really cool. Everybody should check them out.
Metallica has never been shy about supporting new talent. They've also shown huge respect to the legends who built heavy metal, and at the same time, they've lifted up younger bands doing bold, fresh things. These are the 7 bands Metallica loved most across different eras, styles, and generations. Coming in at number 7 is Led Zeppelin, a legendary band that inspired a young James Hetfield and helped shape Metallica's future. For James, Zeppelin was one of his earliest major influences. As a kid, he spent hours practicing their songs. He obsessed over one song in particular, Stairway to Heaven. He spent days trying to nail that opening. When he finally got the opening right, he ran around the house yelling, "Dude, check this out, I can play it." He later told Rolling Stone that learning their songs made him feel proud. Even his high school band, Obsession, played Zeppelin covers at house parties. To James and the rest of Metallica, Zeppelin were pioneers. They proved heavy rock could go massive and still hit the mainstream. Those long solos and big, powerful songs are what made James fall in love with guitar. And that influence helped push Metallica toward their heavy, signature sound. And it wasn't just James either. Kirk has said that Jimmy Page was a genius, a songwriter, a musician, a producer, everything in one person. He had the tone, the attitude, and the look. Kirk has often said that Jimmy Page is one of his biggest heroes. Meeting Robert Plant was a huge moment for James. He even called it one of the best things that happened to him in 2015. And later, Metallica even shared the stage with Jimmy Page. That tells you how much respect they had. And when James was asked about his favorite singers, Robert Plant made his top 10 list. James's appreciation for the band extended to his family as well. He wanted his children to grow up listening to great music. He once said that when he drove his kids to school, he'd pick one band and play only that band for a full week. One week it was the Ramones, another week it was AC/DC, and yes, one full week was nothing but Led Zeppelin. He wanted them to understand the roots of modern music. Led Zeppelin showed Metallica that rock could be massive and powerful. But the next band taught them something totally different: how to be fast, dangerous, and dark. At number 6 is the Misfits. They had a huge impact on Metallica, especially through their look, their chaos, and their energy. Metallica's biggest Misfits fan was their bassist, Cliff Burton. He loved them so much, he tattooed their logo on his arm. The logo is called the Crimson Ghost, with a creepy, skull-like face. Cliff tattooed this symbol as a permanent tribute. Cliff played their music constantly. Friends said that whenever he drove, he blasted Misfits tapes at full volume. He'd get so pumped, he'd drum on the steering wheel while he drove. Kirk Hammett has also been very open about how much he loved the Misfits. He said their imagery and music grabbed him at a young age, reminding him of the old horror comics he used to collect. The Misfits made horror-themed music with real edge, dark, rebellious, and far from mainstream rock. For the Misfits, the visuals were just as important as the music. They proved rock and metal didn't have to fit into a neat little box. You didn't have to follow the rules. You could be weird. You could be creative. You could be different and still connect with people who want something real. Metallica's connection to the Misfits ran so deep that they ended up recording covers of their songs. They covered songs like Last Caress, Green Hell, and Die, Die, My Darling. They played them live and recorded them too. This wasn't just a tribute, it was real respect. And because they were so close, things got pretty wild. James Hetfield actually became friends with Glenn Danzig. They'd hang out whenever they were in the same city. Glenn once told a story about a night in San Francisco that got way out of hand. According to Glenn, Cliff Burton and James Hetfield were both arrested that night. They were partying with the Misfits crew and ended up getting into trouble with the cops. It tells you exactly how wild those days were. Years later, in 2011, Metallica invited Glenn Danzig on stage during their 30th anniversary shows. It was a huge moment. James and Glenn side by side, singing the songs Cliff loved. In the end, the Misfits taught Metallica a lot. They showed them songs can be short and punchy, and visuals can matter just as much as the sound. At number 5 is Royal Blood, a band Metallica instantly loved for their massive sound. They're only a 2-person duo, but they sound bigger than most full bands. Lars Ulrich became a Royal Blood real fan in 2014 when their first album dropped. He brought it home, and his whole family loved it. He later said it became his kids' favorite band and favorite album. They played it around the house all the time. That kind of praise is a big deal. Royal Blood was not just a cool new band to him. They became the kind of band a rock legend played every day at home. When Royal Blood first played San Francisco, Lars showed real support. He and his wife met them, hung out, and even drove them around the city. This wasn't a quick compliment. Lars genuinely believed in them. Then came the moment fans still talk about. In April 2015, Royal Blood played a show in San Francisco. During the final song, Out of the Black, Lars walked on stage. He sat down at the drums and played with them. The crowd went crazy. When a Metallica legend joins you on stage, that sends a loud, clear message. Metallica didn't just notice Royal Blood, they respected them. Lars' love for the band also inspired his kids. His sons liked Royal Blood so much that they formed their own band. His oldest, Son's first group, even played 6 Royal Blood covers live. They were basically a Royal Blood tribute band. Later, his sons started a new 2-piece rock band called Taipei Houston. That band was clearly inspired by Royal Blood's sound and style. Even years later, Lars kept talking about them. He said Royal Blood remained a big part of his family's music life, even 7 or 8 years later, and Royal Blood gave that respect right back. In 2021, they recorded a cover of Metallica's song Sad But True for the Metallica Blacklist project. Metallica officially featured Royal Blood on that release. The project also helped raise money for charity through Metallica's All Within My Hands Foundation. Later, drummer Ben Thatcher talked about what Lars' support meant to them. He said it was unreal to have someone like Lars not just support them, but genuinely believe in them. At number 4 is Deep Purple, the band that started it all for Lars Ulrich. Without Deep Purple, Metallica might never have existed. They showed Lars what being a real rock star looks like. It all starts in 1973. Lars was only 9 years old. He was living in Copenhagen, Denmark. His dad, Torben Ulrich, was a pro tennis player. One night, his father took him to a concert, and the band on stage was Deep Purple. Lars had never experienced anything like it. The music was louder than anything he had ever heard. The energy in the room was electric. He watched guitarist Ritchie Blackmore do absolutely insane things. Blackmore threw his guitar into the stage lights. He even played the guitar with his backside. But the one Lars couldn't stop watching was the drummer Ian Pace. Ian Pace played with insane power and speed. He walked out of that show as a different kid. The very next day, he went to a record store and bought Deep Purple's album, Fireball. From that moment on, Lars didn't want to be a tennis player anymore. He wanted to be a drummer. He begged his grandmother for a drum kit. When he finally got one, it was a Ludwig kit, the same brand Ian Pace played. He set it up right away and started practicing, dreaming of a big stage someday. Lars Ulrich doesn't just like Deep Purple, he is obsessed with them. He talks about their music all the time. One album in particular is very special to him. It is a live album called Made in Japan. Lars has called Made in Japan hands down the best hard rock live album ever. He claims he has listened to it 18,000 times. That might be an exaggeration, but it shows how much he loves it. Lars noticed that a song like Child in Time would be 8 minutes long one night and 11 minutes long the next night. It depended on the mood of the musicians. This taught Lars that music should be alive and exciting. For a long time, Deep Purple was not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This made Lars very angry. He thought they deserved to be there more than anyone, so he used his platform to speak up for them. Finally, in 2016, Deep Purple was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And guess who gave the speech? It was Lars Ulrich. Lars went on stage wearing a purple jacket. He gave a passionate speech about how important the band was. He said, 2 words, Deep Purple. He told the crowd that without Deep Purple, the world of hard rock would sound very different. Metallica has also covered Deep Purple songs to show their respect. They recorded a version of the song When a Blind Man Cries. It allowed James Hetfield to show off his singing voice. Lars said he always knew James could sing that song beautifully. Kirk Hammett also agrees. He has said that Deep Purple had great songs and great musicianship. He believes they had a huge impact on the entire heavy metal community. Deep Purple gave Metallica the blueprint for being a band. At number 3, we have Iron Maiden, the legendary British heavy metal band Metallica looked up to before. They were legends themselves. Lars Ulrich has said Metallica might not even exist without Iron Maiden. They didn't just influence him, they lit the spark that pushed him to start a band. Lars once said, "We were all huge Maiden fans, and I don't think Metallica would be where it is today without Iron Maiden, especially because they inspired me back in 1981 to form a band." That obsession started early. Lars has loved Iron Maiden since their very first album. He's even said that for about 7 years, Maiden were the best rock band in the world. But it wasn't only about the music. Lars loved the whole world around the band. The album covers, the shirts, the artwork, the way everything felt like an experience. He even noticed something small that mattered to him. Maiden albums often gave you more music than other bands. He once joked they'd give you 10 extra minutes on every record. What hit Metallica the hardest was Maiden's speed and energy. Bruce Dickinson's vocals and Steve Harris's galloping bass, especially on songs like Run to the Hills, made everything feel unstoppable. And that energy absolutely rubbed off on Metallica. For James and Lars, Iron Maiden also gave them confidence. It pushed them to start Metallica and stick with metal, even when punk was dominating. Over time, the connection between the two bands became real. Metallica played Maiden covers. They toured together. They even recorded Wrathchild for a special release proof. This wasn't just influence, it was respect. Lars was such a dedicated fan, he'd drive to different cities just to catch Maiden live. As the years went on, he spent hours talking with Maiden's drummer, Nico McBrain, about the band's history and what inspires them. Nico's energy made a big impact on Lars. The way he played, the way he connected with the crowd, the way he clearly loved being on stage. Those details helped shape Lars's own drumming and stage presence. And Lars tells one unforgettable story. He was hanging out behind Nico's drum kit at a Maiden show. Nico handed him the sticks, pointed toward the stage, and basically said, "Go play Run to the Hills in front of thousands of people." Lars admits it was a total disaster because he was pretty drunk. But the bigger point is this: Iron Maiden welcomed him like family. And that says a lot about the bond inside the metal world. Lars has even joked about how loyal he is to Maiden, especially when it comes to Bruce Dickinson. He basically says, "Whatever Bruce says, I'm backing him. That's part of the fun. Go Iron Maiden." In 2014, Metallica and Iron Maiden played the Sonosphere Festival together as co-headliners. For Lars, it was surreal. He said it completely blew his mind, because suddenly, the band he formed as a teenager because of Iron Maiden was standing on the same level as his heroes. At number 2, we have Motorhead, another legendary band known for being loud and fast. Their frontman, Lemmy Kilmister, was the very definition of a rock star. For Metallica, Motorhead was the band that inspired them to play faster. James Hetfield has said it very clearly: there's certainly no Metallica without a Motorhead. He looked up to Lemmy as a father figure and mentor. He called Lemmy the captain of the ship and a godfather to the band. Lemmy lived rock and roll all day, every day. He drank, smoked, and played loud music. Metallica admired that authenticity and wanted to carry themselves the same way. Lars Ulrich followed Motorhead on tour, just as he did with Iron Maiden. There is a famous story that Lars once threw up on Lemmy in a hotel room. It was a messy introduction, but it started a lifelong friendship. When Lemmy died in 2015, the members of Metallica were heartbroken. James Hetfield wanted to do something special to honor his friend. He wrote a song called Murder One for the album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Murder One was the name of Lemmy's favorite amplifier. The lyrics of the song mention titles of Motorhead songs. James got a new tattoo on his middle finger. It is a picture of an ace of spades, which is Motorhead's most famous song. The tattoo ink was mixed with a pinch of Lemmy's actual ashes. James said that with this tattoo, Lemmy is still able to fly the bird at the world. For Lemmy's 50th birthday, Metallica played a surprise show at a club in Los Angeles. They dressed up as Lemmy. They wore black wigs, sunglasses, and drew fake moles on their faces. They called themselves the Lemmys and played Motorhead songs all night. Motorhead taught Metallica that music should be fast and aggressive. They helped Metallica find the thrash part of thrash metal. Motorhead mixed punk and metal with speed and attitude. Kirk Hammett says it simply: Lemmy was the real deal, right to the end. James Hetfield said that there's certainly no way we'd be around if there was no Motorhead. Motorhead's music had a fighting spirit. Lemmy sang about the road, about rock and roll, and never gave up. Metallica covered Motorhead songs live and recorded Overkill early in their career. They said Lemmy's example gave them the push they needed. At number 1, we have Black Sabbath, the absolute foundation of everything Metallica became. They didn't just influence Metallica. They essentially invented heavy metal and showed the world what metal music could be. Lars Ulrich said in an interview, "If there was no Black Sabbath, I could possibly still be a morning newspaper delivery boy." He explained that Black Sabbath took elements of blues, rock, and soul, then made them darker and tougher. They also added something nobody had heard before in X Factor. That's how they created a brand new sound that changed music. Kirk Hammett also praised them a lot. He said Black Sabbath's 4 members basically wrote the rule book for metal. He added, "If it weren't for those 4 guys, we'd probably still be figuring it out." James Hetfield discovered Black Sabbath by digging through his older brother's record collection, and he was immediately struck by how different they sounded from everything else he was hearing. He said, "Their album covers really drew me in. I immediately thought, I gotta put this on. And when I did, I couldn't believe it. It was like, whoa, heavy as shit." Sabbath was everything that the 1960s weren't. Their music was so cool because it was completely anti-hippie. At Black Sabbath's Back to the Beginning farewell concert at Villa Park, Metallica played a special guest set before Sabbath's final performance. James Hetfield addressed the crowd and said, "Let's celebrate the band Black Sabbath, because without Sabbath, there would be no Metallica. Thank you, boys, for giving us a purpose in life. Thank you, Blacks." Sabbath. In 2006, Metallica had the honor of inducting Black Sabbath into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Lars gave a speech so emotional that he nearly cried. James Hetfield also spoke that night, describing himself as a shy 9-year-old boy who was drawn to Black Sabbath like a magnet to metal. He said their monstrous riffs lived inside him and helped him express feelings he couldn't put into words. In his view, Black Sabbath helped crack the shell he felt trapped in. Metallica has covered several Sabbath songs, including Sabra Cadabra and Paranoid, and they perform them with genuine reverence. They know that without those original riffs from the 1970s, they wouldn't be doing what they do today. Black Sabbath passed the torch to Metallica, and Metallica has carried it proudly for the past 40 years. And that wraps up our list of the 7 bands Metallica loved the most, the legends that helped shape their sound and inspired generations of metal fans. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's next. Drop a comment with your favorite band on the list,